Ndị be anyị ekenere m unu. Asị m ka nke e chiri ya zelu. Asị m unu ụtụtụ ọma, ehihie ọma, mgbede ọma site n'ebe isi wee na-esore anyị n'ụbọchị nke taa na Eastern News 24. Anyị si na ọ ya dịrị onye ọbụla na mma ka bụ ndị na-esore anyị n'ilu akwụkwọ n'ihe anyị na-ebe dị iche iche. N'ụbọchị nke taa anyị si na ọ ya dịrị anyị Igbo na mma na anyị yarị ka echi na echi ede agwụ agwụ. Ife anyị na-akpọ ya bụ ife wetara n'ụbọchị nke taa bụ ife anyị na-akpọ ya bụ morning tea n'ilu akwụkwọ. Ihe a bụ gbasịta maka ya bụ ihe na-eme na obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya, ana gbasịta maka nwere onwe ndị Igbo na-azọ. Dịka o si dị, o nwere ihe Biafran Prime Minister kwuru n'ilu akwụkwọ nwetara unu ka unu ga ya bụ ife, unu ga-esi ya bụ ife na tinye alụ nke unu ife unu chere gbasịta maka ihe ndị a niile o kwugasị n'ilu akwụkwọ dị iche iche n'ụbọchị nke taa na morning tea. Dịka ị na-ege ya bụ ife, dropkwara your own comment n'ilu akwụkwọ, ọ dịkwa nnukwu mkpa. All right, over to you, sir.
Started as a secular state from 1960. It was called a secular state. Secular state in the sense that there is no official religion, there is no official language and all that, only language that ethnically, like dialect, and all that the general language, accepted language and official language become English. Today, as I speak to you, Nigeria from the back door have adopted the Islamic Sharia law without referendum. That secular state has disappeared to the blue moon. In Nigeria today, under our very own eyes, the northern state adopted Sharia law without referendum. Because in that northern state, you have people who are not Muslims, people who migrated from other parts of Nigeria to the northern state, and they are not Muslims. And during the time they were migrating, Nigeria constitution says secular state. And today they found themselves in an extreme Islamic Sharia state where their heads are being cut off, where they are stoning them to death at any provocation, where the people who don't even know anything about the religion are being stoned to death. And of course, those that are made open, we'll talk about it. One of the recent one is a lady called Deborah. Deborah is not a Muslim. She's a Christian. She was accused of blasphemy, even when she's not part of their religious movement. She was stoned to death. We are not against Muslims. We are friends of Muslims. We have Muslim friends all over the world. But what we are saying is that let live and let live. If you must have a Sharia in Nigeria, and those people who have agreed to have a Sharia law in their state, they can have their independence. Not necessarily deceiving the people in the sense that they are in Nigeria where you have a secular state, only for them to realize that if they talk anything against their religion, they're going to get killed and stoned to death. And they are still living in that delusional state of a secular state. Today, Nigeria is being recognized by the United Kingdom as one of the Islamic state. That was the exact word that Macron used, that Nigeria, an Islamic state, was one of those countries that were negotiating the ceasefire with Israel and Palestine. And of course, supporting the killing of Israel, the invasion of Hamas against Israel territory, which recorded killings and abduction of innocent women and children. Now, again, the dangerous diversity is this. While Nigeria will go to the UN General Assembly to vote and support the state of Palestine, they kill us with guns just for coming out to protest and say that we are ready to also have an independent state. Biafra has suffered the highest, they have become the highest victim in order to continue to push the message and narrative of one Nigeria. We lost 3 million children, not to gun, not to bomb, but to starvation. And that was the war crime committed, one of the war crimes committed by Nigeria. And of course, they have probably escaped being tried for that crime because of the time the UN and of course the International Criminal Court came in place. Having said that, it is not enough that after these 3 million children died, today we are facing times 1,000 of what led to the war that supervised the death of over 3 million. Is it not reasonable for the entire globe, the entire world, those who participated in forcing Biafrans and killing Biafrans and advising Nigeria on how to do blockade over Biafra? Are they not ashamed of themselves today that the Nigeria they cherished and loved so much has collapsed? Nigeria has no other thing to do other than to kill, to lie, involve in international crime, fraud, internet cyber crime, and what have you. Terrorism is on the high rise. Internet fraud is on the high rise. Everybody in Nigeria, if you are not involved in war crime or the other, you will never survive. So Nigeria breeds criminals. And because some of us who have come this far to know how to build a state and make a society a better one, we have risen up to say we will end this particular subjugation of our people, making sure that we do not excel, making sure that we don't develop ourselves, and the only way that we can come out of this subjugation is to have our independent state or Biafra. And I want to make it very clear that we are not declaring independent state of Biafra. Rather, we are restoring the already declared independence. It was declared in 1967. So we have a history. And today, everyone have seen the nosedive Nigeria, how Nigeria is nosediving. And we are not the only country or the only nation that are following this path. It may also interest you that Lithuania, who is one of the powerful countries today in this part of Europe, was also facing similar thing in the past before they actually declared their independence. So the Lithuania was, the declaration of the Lithuania was actually the restoration of an independent state which they initially proclaimed in a relatively recent past as a then. And Lithuania redeclared the restoration of their independence. And that's exactly one of the paths the Biafrans are following today. We will issue a declaration to restore our lost independence, which was declared in 1967. And then also a similar thing proclamation was made by a nation called Sahawari. I don't know how many of you know this nation called Sahrawi, the Arab Democratic Republic of Sahrawi in Western Sahara. The proclamation of the 1976 is exact thing that the Biafra, of course, almost the same thing that Biafra are following today. In this region, in this country, their liberation witness, at least, they took over some portion of their territory and Morocco controlled the rest. And those areas where they are controlling, where they are very strong, is called a free zone. So people should understand that if there is no event, there is no history. You have to create the solution that suits your problem. And what we are doing today is the combination of many process, of many procedure, of many pathway to freedom. Because Nigeria is a complex state, especially with vested interests of the world powers. So what we are trying to do is to profile a solution to the, imagining an upsurge of terrorists from Africa. We imagining as a nation will prevent this upsurge of terrorists. And the emergence of Biafra as an independent state will also restore peace and lasting peace in the Sahel region. This is a fact. With the way this whole thing is going today, there is a need for Biafra to emerge so that the West and those who believe in civilization will have real alliance in Africa. As it stands today, there is no real alliance in Africa. And what I do not believe is when they say the Western influence. There is nothing like that in our own ideology. What we have is civilization influence, and we are embracing civilization, and civilization we will embrace. We continue to follow the path of civilization because that's exactly the pathway to a better society. Nigeria today has opened what they call Center for Eradication of Innovation. Innovation is part of civilization, and they are eradicating it. So we have different ideology, different belief. Everything is different. Everything is pulled apart. So the only way we can develop ourselves, attain our potentials, is to govern ourselves in the name of self-determination. So this is the reason we are saying that the world must listen to us now. We have solution, especially to all the problems that are emanating from the West Africa, Sahel region, and of course the issue of the upsurge of terrorists. The emergence of Biafra will first of all cut all the interest that the terrorists have, which made them to start flowing into Nigeria. And you know what that interest is? They are looking for safe haven where they can tap on the natural resources, make money, sponsor attack in Europe, sponsor attack in America, and the emergence of Biafra will stop that. Thank you very much. There are many things to say, but I know that a lot of people are here who want to say something. Thank you very much. This is the reason.
It's okay. It's okay.
Or die is our logo and our slogan going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for all this brief, Prime Minister Simon. And the next question will be Mr. President, Mr. G. Eritrea is an independent nation. So what is your government in exile struggle all about? And if you are not fighting for independence like the Biafran people, what is missing from the Eritrean people? Mr. President, are you are on mute?
Yes, I am. I say before I proceed with the question, I want to commend the Prime Minister for well articulated and also detailed. I think this is more history we have than ever. A lot of people may not be familiar with the Biafran issue. They might think it's a dead issue, but as you can see, it is well alive and moving. We also have a good friend in them. There's a lot of familiarities that we carry in common, and I think we are together in this fight. Coming back to your question, Mr. KHA, as you might know, yes, Eritrea is independent since 1991. And unfortunately, Eritrea has had high aspirations to govern itself as an inclusive, peaceful, and democratic administration is what we expected. In that particular 1991, not only Eritrea, Ukraine became independent the same year. They decided to go the democratic way. Unfortunately, we went to a dictatorship. And this authoritarian regime we have today, it hijacked the dreams and aspirations. And the Eritrean people have found themselves in a nation without law. We don't have constitution or even any necessary institution. At this juncture, for the last 33 years, no election, no constitution. Where in the world do we hear, where in the world that it exists except in this small tiny Eritrea? You know, we earned our independence through a long bloody struggle, and we paid dearly, many sacrifices. But all this, Eritrean people, dignity, the freedom, it has been betrayed. The struggle hijacked by the oppressive regime only to serve the interest of the few. The economy depleted, and the people's social fabric fragmented. So in order to change this is why from that independence, we have people that are not free inside Eritrea. People that live in fear. People that are jailed without any good reason. In this juncture in our history, we have had over 100 factories in our nation, so long before any African nations, but he kind of closed them all. So people cannot function, people cannot work. The single university we had, it has been shut down. We have some colleges who don't have universities, but what we have is 360 underground jails, prisons. People are fearful. They're all running away from home. Our youth, which they are conscripted in the nation for lifetime. This is what some European nations categorize as slavery. This minority level, they work for nothing. They could not go to school, could not work, could not make family. Everybody, as any juncture, I think they are heading to exodus. This is what created in our life before. Eritreans are a very strong people. They love their nation. They love their people. They love their culture. However, at this right moment, every child were used to be saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? Yes, he will say, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a mathematician. But today, I'm dismayed to hear any young kid, if he has been asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? He will simply and clearly would tell you, he wants to run away. He wants to run away. So we cannot have this sort of nation building together. And I think we are in a really failed nation as it is. The nation is going the wrong way. The gentleman goes towards the Russians, Chinese at this moment. And we are, as a transitional government in exile, yes, we are pro-West. Yes, we are pro-democracy. Yes, we are pro-justice and for the rule of law. So all of our efforts, even though we have independence, we never had the freedom for the people. Therefore, this is our fight for our people. And we tend to get it to the highest level. And I think in this juncture, it is about time. The time is due for this despotic government. Maybe it's time to leave the nation. Whatever happened did happen. We don't want it to get any worse than it is. So we can restore democracy. We can restore justice. We can let out all those prisoners, political prisoners, journalists, and many women and men that are in jail for nothing. There is a fear, even if relatives, loved ones are in jail, it became a time you cannot ask about them. If you go to us, relatives, yes, you better be thinking twice. And so the people are living in the dark. No wonder they called us the North Korea of Africa. Plus, even worse, you know what North Korea does, but ours, we were given the name the North Korea of Africa, and that would explain a lot. So without saying much, yes, we are not fighting for independence, but yes, we are fighting for our freedom, a freedom at home. And this is what we are fighting as a transitional Eritrean government in exile. Thank you very much.
Mr. Yabu, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I've been on mute. Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Gee. Mr. Elias, in a short period of the modern strategies involvement with these two governments in exile, you believe have been achieved?
We've achieved enormous success for both the Biafran government and the Eritrean transitional government within just a 2-month period. In the case of Biafra,
Egbo mana ege ntị daalụ nne na ụmụ ife ka unu si wee na-esoro anyị n'idu akwụkwọ na Eastern News 24 n'ụbọchị nketa anyị na-akpọ ya morning tea. Unu anụgonu ya bụ ife mgbakọrịta ụka ya bụ ife Maazị Simon Ekpa bụ Biafran Prime Minister or Biafran Public Government na-eze dịka o si dị n'afọ ka o si ada n'iru akwụkwọ. Gịnị ka ị nwere ikwu gbasịta maka ya bụ ife ndị a niile kwugasị n'iru akwụkwọ dị iche iche dropụla ya on the comment section below. Ọzọ dịkwa ka ibe ya bụ na nke a bụ ụbọchị izizi gị na-esorela anyị n'iru akwụkwọ, onye na-afụ ya bụ ihe onyonyo anyị kaba alụ ka ị like ya and turn on notification, share kwe ka o wetakwa ndị ọzọ ụmụnne anyị dị n'ebe dị iche iche aka. Daalụ nne na Igbo ma na-ege ntị. Oge na-adịrị anya onye ndu ya pụta na n'ụlọ mkpọrọ. Ka emesịanụ ụmụnne m.